Krishna's love, God's love. We're sharing that because we know how much joy it brings. When Srila Prabhupada was 70 years old on the Jaladuta boat on the ocean, he just had two heart attacks and seasickness of 38 days on a cargo ship. When he came to New York, he had no money, he didn't know anybody. He wrote a beautiful prayer. And his prayer, one beautiful line of it was, he was praying to his Lord, Krishna. Give me the words. Give me your words to speak. Speak through me so I can make these people happy. Beyond all the struggles of the modes of nature. We all have that potential within us. As Radhanath said, or Rajesh, as he said, we get and take to make a living. What we give to make a life. That's within us all. And satsang is to associate with people who bring out the true wealth that is within us. Does that kind of answer your question?
It was not a question.
It wasn't a question, that's right.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
My name is Shyam Shukla, and my question is that you traveled through India before you joined this Bhakti Marg of ISKCON. There are so many organizations, spiritual organizations in India like Ramakrishna Mission and so many others. So why did you choose Bhakti Marg rather than Gyan Marg or any other spiritual societies in India?
The answer is by reading this book, The Journey Home. That's what it's about. But in essence, there are three revelations of the one truth revealed in the Vedas and all the religions of the world. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Brahman is the all-pervading, impersonal light of the absolute truth. And to reach that state is called mukti, or liberation. Paramatma is that same Lord who is within the heart of every living being, as the witness and the guide of our finest intuition and our eternal friend. That's Paramatma. Many yogis, their goal is to connect there. And Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the supreme, all-beautiful personality of Godhead, who is eternally existing. In the Brahma Samhita it is said, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That the Lord's body, the Lord's personality, is nothing of this relative world. It is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And that personality of Godhead, with the infinite love, which is the very essence of God, reciprocates in a personal way with each and every one of us when we open our hearts to receive it. And then we become an instrument of God's love. So there are different revelations and goals. Mukti, which is the total peace of liberation from all sufferings of death in the impersonal aspect of the Lord. And there is prema. Prema in the bhakti school is the perfection of mukti, or liberation. It's that peace, but with a connection to the personality of Godhead, like Ram with Hanuman, like Krishna with gopis, where there's an exchange of love that is forever. And when I was in Vrindavan, It's a long story how I got there. I was actually on my way to Amarnath, to a pilgrimage in the Himalayas of Kashmir to visit Lord Shiva. And I was taking a third-class train from Varanasi. And I prayed to Kashi Vishwanath. I prayed, please show me my path. Because I was burning with a desire to connect with God and with spirituality. And I had studied with such an intense fervor in my heart in cathedrals and monasteries of Christianity in Europe, in synagogues of the Jewish faith in Europe. I was meditating and reading various spiritual books, and then from the island of Crete in Greece, I had this calling to go to India. And through Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, I was studying Islam with some scholars of the Quran in Mashhad in Iran. And when I reached India, I went to Himalayas, and I was living with so many famous gurus and so many very unknown gurus and yogis. And I was studying various yoga systems, various aspects of Hinduism. I was studying Zen Buddhism, Burmese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. I was meeting Christian saints. And I liked everybody. Some people tried to exploit me. Some people tried to kill me. But most people were really kind and loving and sharing their wisdom with me. But which path was mine? I came to a certain level in my spiritual progress where I was just learning so much from so many, but I had to follow a path I felt. So I prayed to Kashi Vishwanath on the bank of the Ganga in Kashi, Varanasi. Show me my path, please. Show me my teacher. And I was crying. I was begging. And I felt in my heart Shankar speaking, saying, yes, I'm going to show. My understanding, I was going to Amarnath because I was told in Pashupatinath, in Nepal, one sadhu said, if you go for this pilgrimage in Amarnath, all your desires will be fulfilled. So when I prayed in Kashi, I was thinking, it will be revealed when I get to Amarnath. And I jumped on a third-class train. And do you remember third-class trains in those days? Mm-hmm. There were no bars in the windows. And I was a hitchhiker, so it was a different kind of hitchhiking. When the train would start coming into the station, still going quite fast, hundreds of people would be running full speed alongside the train, and then all of a sudden they'd start throwing their backs through windows and jumping into the windows of moving trains. It looked really dangerous. And the first time I did it, everyone else was doing it, so I jumped because I had no money. And by the time you get in the train, it's so filled with people. When the train stops, nobody else can fit. That's why everyone jumps through the windows. But because it's so crowded, no ticket collector could get in. So there was a price to pay, but not in rupees. The price was being crushed. Do you want to hear the story? No?
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj.
I warned you. So we're going in this train, and it is so crowded. There's no seats. The luxury for me was to crawl up into a luggage rack. But the luggage racks were packed with people. So I was standing, and the train was going from Varanasi, and we were in some agricultural fields, and this was during the monsoon rainy season. Massive rainstorm. And the field flooded. It's probably 6 feet of water, it looked like, in the field. And the train stopped, couldn't move. For 20 hours we were sitting in that field, and we couldn't get out because it was just muddy water and snakes. And we were crowded, couldn't sit down. There was no water to drink. There was no food to eat, which was kind of a blessing that there was no food to eat, because everyone had to use the same bathroom. And to get to the bathroom would take a long time, because you'd have to be going through all these people. And the bathroom in those days, do you want to hear it? It was just a hole in the floor. You know, there was some metal around the hole in the floor, but it was a hole in the floor. And all the water from the fields were coming up through the hole. And we had, I think it was a capacity of 60 people in this car, and there was about 300 people in this car. And everyone was using that same hole, and nothing was going down. So that was the bathroom. Anyways, after about 20 hours of intense heat, no ability to move, no eating or drinking, finally the whistle blew. It was a steam engine. And then this train started moving. It was like mukti. There's something about stagnation that really aggravates. You know, you've been in traffic jams before, I think. Well, this was like the ultimate traffic jam. There was nothing you could do. Just some movement is such a liberating feeling. And finally, at 5 o'clock in the morning, we came to a station. And I was thinking, I want to breathe air, because there was really recycled air in that little chamber. I want to breathe air, I want to move my limbs, and I want to drink water. And I did. And then I went to jump back in the train when it started moving. And I jumped through a window and bounced off a wall of people. Another window, another window. I tried to get in the doors, but it was like solid walls of humans. I couldn't get in. The train was gone. After a few minutes, the railway platform was empty. And I didn't know where I was. So I saw some sadhus sitting around a little fire on the railway platform. Well, not for heat. They were using the fire for other purposes. But I went up to one of them, and one sadhu just stood up as if he was welcoming me home. I said, where am I? He said, this is Mathura, Krishna's birthplace. And today is Janmashtami, Krishna's birthday. He said, come with me, I will take you to the celebration at the Janmastan of Krishna's birthplace. So I didn't have anywhere else to go. So I went with him. And then I was thinking, after I was there for Janmashtami, there was hundreds and thousands of people there. At that time, there was just a little kind of a temple underground before the new temple was built. This is 1971. And I was hearing all about this place called Vrindavan. And I was told it was just 8 miles away. So I went there. And then I decided the next day I was going to go to Amarnath, and I slept on the Yamuna River's bank under a Kadamba tree near Madan Mohan Temple. And the next morning early I was going to walk to the station and go to Amarnath. But that morning I couldn't stand up. I had typhoid fever. I was sicker than ever in my life. And eventually, when I got better, I went to the Ramakrishna Hospital. They had a charitable room, which was for free. There was a price to pay there, too. But not in rupees. And the doctor's name was Dr. Krishna Gopal. He told me, if you travel now, you will die. You have to stay in one place. Because you sadhus, the way you travel, it's very difficult. So I just lived with the Brijvasis, the people of Vrindavan, sleeping under trees, visiting saints, visiting even just the homes of the common farmers and people. And this concept of bhakti, this concept of the personal nature of God and love of God completely charmed my heart. And after some time I realized I didn't find my path. God revealed my path in his own ways. Jagannath, the Lord of all living beings, to love God was such a deep experience. And when I heard the beautiful pastimes of Krishna and the concept of Radha, the feminine power of God's love, philosophically, logically, as well as experientially in my heart, it was everything I was looking for. And I decided that I'll never leave Vrindavan. I will stay here for the rest of my life. And then about 6 months later, my guru, Srila Prabhupada, came. And I had been living with so many gurus, but his compassion and how he could explain things in such simple, practical ways, and how he opened the doors to this very esoteric teaching of bhakti, so that practically anyone from everywhere in the world can actually attain that same experience. It just was so beautiful to me. I accepted him as my guru and decided I want to assist him in whatever small way I can. And then about a few months later, my visa ended, and I had to leave Vrindavan. So I had to start going to other places in the world. Does that answer your question?
Swamiji, hi, my name is Anand. I was fortunate enough to be at Shushant and Amrita's house the other day. By the time I got home, I was very energized, after your conversation, after meeting with you as well. I went home, it was close to midnight. My wife, my 2 kids were watching a movie, and I just wanted to tell them the story about what I learned, what I heard, and what I understood from you. They turned off the movie, listened to me, looked at me a little bit. Okay, this guy's, I don't know where he's come from, but I think there was something that seeped at the back of their mind. The next day, my daughter comes up and says, "Can you tell me some of the things that you learned the previous night?" So I told her again. As Weng said, yesterday I was at a dinner, and here I was talking about what we learned from you, about the redwood trees, about the deer and the musk, and how we all need to be better human beings, and what we need to do as far as compassion and be able to live better. My question to you, Swamiji, is, I think this is great. Today I feel very energized as well. I'm pretty certain, I think, that I will be able to talk to several more people. Come 1 month down, and taking the rat analogy, we are all living this rat race. How do we make sure that we continue to take your teachings and make sure that we are able to impart that and be able to live that in our own life? Is there something that you could tell us that you think we should do? Maybe day to day or something like that, that could help us and other people as well.
Thank you very much. The enthusiasm of your question is better than the answer. It's beautiful, thank you. We were speaking about foundation. If we take serious that foundation as an important part of our lives, and we make a priority of keeping that strong foundation, then not only is everything possible, but with the grace of God, everything will be done. And we need that spiritual fulfillment. We need that spiritual basis when the storms come and go. And that comes especially through 3 to regularly try to associate with people, like-minded people, saintly people, who reconfirm the need for that and who inspire the need for that. And we connect our roots with such people as a beginning. That's important. Satsang is important. Sometimes I'm invited to speak at meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. Usually you have to be an alcoholic reformed to speak there. But somehow, sometimes they ask me to come. I guess they think I'm quite harmless. And I hear them speak before I speak, or they give their testimonies. And the success of that organization is that they're all dealing with the same struggle to keep away from alcohol. Especially when storms in life come, that's when they usually fall back into it. But their company with each other helps each other to be strong. To get strong and keep strong. And that's satsang. That spiritually oriented association is very important. And it's considered very, very sacred in the Vedas and in every religion. Second is in our own homes, to give some priority time to our spiritual practices, to our meditation, to our chanting of God's names. In Bhakti, this chanting of God's names is the most simple and powerful form of meditation. Kirtan, japa, meditating on God's names, reading holy books on a regular basis, performing some puja. The idea of keeping a little temple in our house, it's not just that we're carrying on the traditions of our family and our grandfathers and great-grandfathers, but the real basis of the tradition is when we put the Lord in our house and an altar. That means my Lord, this house is yours. And I should behave in this house in such a way in harmony with your will. And all the people in this family are your children. And I must respect them and honor them accordingly. And having an altar in the home is a way of actually connecting with God and recognizing the sanctity of our home. And through our spiritual practices, we're actually developing that foundation. And then when we go into the business place and we meet all kinds of people, with dignity, with fulfillment, we can pass through all that stress. So good company, prioritizing some time for personal spiritual practice and collective family spiritual practice, if possible, if there's interest. And third is living with character, integrity. Though that's just a choice we have to make. Feeding the good dog in the choices we make. If we do like this, with sincerity, then whether we're in business, technology, science, politics, farming, law, accounting, education, or even if we're swamis, we could all actually be saintly. We could be self-realized. We could be givers of love and dharma. And if we all work together in that spirit with all of our differences, we can make a difference in the world.
Anand, you might want to meet up with Vaisheshika Prabhu after this program. He's a stalwart preacher.
He did spend a lot of time on.
Yeah, but you do visit him at Mountain View, and there's one question here from Rashmikant Kandar. Rashmikant is a very dear friend, he has been very helpful to us.
Hello. Hi, this is Rashmikant Kamdar from New Jersey. Namaste Guruji. I had a pleasure to attend your conclave in Mumbai this winter. It was wonderful. This question is completely different. Have you ever thought of, at present, what the genocide has been happening in Syria from last about a year and a half? Have you ever thought to go down there and talk to the Assad and make his mind a little level-headed, not to do this kind of a massacre, what he's doing right now? What would you like to do on that? It's a completely different subject, but I thought so. You being such a good Swami and you go around the globe, you're meeting the presidents. Have you ever thought of doing this?
I'm just a very little person. By God's grace, any little person can do big things. If we just access that grace of the power beyond our own. To be honest, my life is kind of like a little leaf that's fallen from a tree and kind of goes where the wind blows me. The wind of destiny. And if the opportunity came for this person or any other such influential person to open their hearts, to invite me, to share the wisdom that I have been entrusted, I would be honored to do so and give my heart and soul, try to do best. But unless those doors open, there's not much any of us could do. But at the same time, there is much that all of us could do. I've been invited here today by all of you, so I'm so honored. You see, in the path of bhakti, we don't want to be masters. We want to be servants. And we're servants even of the people we're teaching. And we're honored to serve. If the door opens to speak to such a person, we'll be quite enthusiastic to share what we've been given. But each and every one of us, we have the opportunity to make a big difference in the world just by the choices we make in our everyday life. In my own spiritual practice, when I'm chanting God's name, this Hare Krishna mantra, I'm feeling, and we could all feel, that we're accessing God's grace. And when we access God's grace, we become like antennas to actually emit that grace. And if individually we can access and emit that grace through our words, through our actions, through our thoughts, through our very being, and we can somehow excite other people to do the same, then we're creating a very positive energy that's spreading throughout the universe. And that could have very positive changes. Does that answer your question?
Thanks.
But if you arrange for me to meet him, I'm happy to meet him. We can come together, actually. I'll feel very safe going with you.
Rashmikant, it's a matter of circle of influence and a circle of concern. You are a very well-connected person. Take Maharaj and he'll be happy to.
I think I'll definitely try.
Yeah, you are very well-connected. Yeah. Are there any questions? Any other questions? We can take one last question before we have to do the honors, and then we'll break for lunch.
I have a question.
Sure. Namita.
My
Just-
mother,
Can you give some sound to this? Okay, give me that.
We are all God's child, but why do we do wrong things? Why can't we do always the right?
we become habituated to certain ways of thinking and acting and speaking. According to choices we've made in the past, we create a karma. Karma works in many ways. One is for every action there's an equal corresponding reaction. If you cause pain to others in due course of time, maybe this life, maybe a future life, that pain comes back to us. If we do good to others, that good will come back to us. But even more important than that is we develop proclivities, inclinations, according to what we do. Just like for someone smoking cigarettes, every time they smoke a cigarette, they're more inclined to smoke cigarettes. Yes. And when you're trying to break the cigarette habit, every time you say no, you're more inclined and have more strength to say no the next time. So you say, through the choices we've made in this life and in past lives, we have many inclinations and we have many habits. And the environment around us is so much influencing us. There's such a powerful collective energy of people's greed and people's dishonesty and people's anger and people's envy and people's arrogance. And that's such a powerful influence. And every time we become angry, we're connecting to the frequency of universal anger of everyone. But there's another frequency, the frequency of grace. And within that frequency of grace is goodness, forgiveness, love, compassion, humility. And this chanting of God's names, this actual spiritual practice with the right motive, is to connect us to that grace. And then we actually become instruments of that grace. So yes, we have many bad habits due to the environment around us and due to our own previous choices. But we can also connect to that grace and cultivate good habits. And that's really what Dharma is, making those choices. And what's really important is for future generations in this world, we give our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren the example of one who's willing to make those choices for that higher purpose. So it's not a surprise that we have all these inclinations. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Krishna that why is it that even if we want to do good, something pushes us to do bad things? What is that? And Krishna explains, it is the habit of selfishness that's within us. Kama. And when it's not satisfied, it becomes anger. But we can rise above this. And that's what Dharma is for. That's what Bhakti is for. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Thank you. Maharaj just mentioned about that Elephanta Cave ride. The historic thing, I was very blessed to be with Maharaj and his parents. Of course, there were more disasters. There was a crisis while coming back. The boatman wouldn't take us back. Maharaj, you.
My mother and father, after all that, they were traumatized by the mosquitoes, by the jungle, by the monkey. They said, just take us back, just take us back. And we went back to the boat, and the boat was full, yes?
He wouldn't take us. He said you have to go back by the same boat in which you came, and that boat has gone back to Gateway of India.
That's right. It would have been another hour and a half wait. The boat had just left. It was going to go, and nothing's on time in those days. And my parents would have to get us on this boat. And actually, you know, I'm pretty good with monkeys, but I'm not so good with people. But he was literally pleading with the boatman, and the boatman was abusing him miserably right in front of my parents, that he just wouldn't give up, and he got my parents on the boat. And me too. And to this day, whenever they come to India, one of their first questions is, will we meet Rajesh?
So Maharaj, we got down at Gateway of India, and right across is the Hotel Taj Mahal, if you know, the Hotel Taj. And there's a coffee shop there. His dad and mom were ravenously hungry. Maharaj won't enter the 5-star hotel. He said, I don't want to go there. So I'm going back to the temple, and you take them to the coffee shop. So we went and sat in the coffee shop, and we were talking, because that was the first trip Maharaj's parents made after 20 years of exposure that our son is there. And they didn't have any idea what he's doing and what he means to all of us. So his father told me, he said, I thought that my son is just being exploited by bums. All this time, I just thought, these people are just exploiting my son. Really, tell me, what does Radhanath Swami mean to you? I remember he asked me that. I said, all I can tell you is, there are literally 1,000 families here. If Maharaj tells us to jump from the roof of a building, we won't think twice. And he had tears in his eyes. He said, thank you so much. I'm just beginning to appreciate what my son has done for all of you. I remember this vividly, Maharaj.
You never told me this.
So, at this point of time, I have to do the honors. First of all, as I mentioned to you, great thanks to Venk Shukla for providing us this wonderful facility. I'm really grateful to you. And this is just a beginning. It's just, we are new to this Silicon Valley. We'd like to come every year. Today is Father's Day. First of all, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come out today. I know how difficult it is. Many of you have had, at least I heard a couple of them saying I had an argument with my wife and I came here. So I have to thank you. Next time will be better time, so there's no inconvenience. This is just the first time we need your help. We need some hand holding, as I told you last time. Please help us. We want to reach out to more people. As you saw, he pulls the heartstrings of people. Maharaj is a heart surgeon. He just goes and performs heart surgeries. That's all. This is what I've seen in the last 3 decades. So please reach out, make people meet. Vaisheshika Prabhu is the right person here in Santa Clara, in San Jose. He's really close. He's right here in your house, at your home. Please go and meet him. Please visit the temple. And on the 6th and 7th of July, they have the grand opening of the Mountain View ISKCON temple. It's a beautiful property. It was a church which has been converted into a temple. They're really working hard to make this happen. And with all your support, things will work out very nicely. We're going to show you a short film, just a trailer of Maharaj's book Journey Home, which Shyam Sundar Prabhu has just made. But even before that, there's 2 very special people here whom I'd like to honor. They were introduced to us by our good friend Sushant. We have with us Ramesh Pitambar. He's come here with his family, with Vishal. Mrs. Pitambar is here too, his mother is here, and the beautiful 2 daughters. Right? Ramesh, as I told you, is really a Karma Yogi. He is very pious, very focused. He's the chairman of the Heritage Group of Hotels. Very accomplished person, very astute businessman, but his heart, he has a heart of gold. He was very kind to sponsor this entire expenses for us. Please give him a round of applause for his. And Ron, thank you very much for all your help. We also have Rashmikant. They are lifelong friends and associates. Rashmikant and Ron are very dear friends. And Rashmikant came all the way from Piscataway, New Jersey. Right. So he just came for this event. His son was here too. Rishabh, he had to go back because of some business. He comes from a very, very marquee background, and he's really, again, a very accomplished person. And he has also been very helpful to us, and he has sponsored a part of this event for us as well. Thank you, both of you, Ron and Rashmikant. And thank you, Sushant, for all your connects. And he always gets embarrassed when I talk about him, so I just downplayed the whole thing. Yeah. So at this point of time, please feel free to personally come up to Maharaj and meet with him and introduce yourselves. Yeah, some people are always shy to speak up in a crowd, but please come and introduce yourself. Maharaj will be very happy to meet all of you. And at this point of time, I would like to thank Harini Sripati, who's working for Thai Global. She works for Venk's team. And she has been very helpful in getting all the arrangements done for us. And we thank all of you, thank all the Thai Global members for taking the time to come over here. And last but not the least, there is this team of, like they say, you know, Ram's Vanar Sena. Shravan and Sundar and Himanshu and Govind, and there is another monk sitting there, Yogal Kishore. He's flown down from Moundsville, West Virginia, to be present here. Many of you can network with him. He's a really very nice person, very humble, brahmachari, and he would be happy to network, meet you, and answer any questions that you may have. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence here, and thank you for the gift of your time. And we will now break for lunch, and we bring this session to a close. Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to joining us, Radhanath Swami. Okay, one small thing which remains, just I forgot. Ron and Rashmikant, would you please come up here and please accept a token of our appreciation and our gratitude for all your help. Please come up. Radhanath Maharaj would like to give you a small gift. Thank you, friends. Lunch is now ready. Thank you very much. We just want to show you the. I'm so sorry. We just have to show you that 5-minute video, please. Please, let's start. Okay, this is just for 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. Please, let's. Then we wait for. Can we have the volume?
Sitting on the bank of the river Ganges, I saw coming out of the forest was a holy man. He walked right up to me. His first words. I was sitting on the bank of the river Ganges when I saw coming out of the forest was a holy man. He walked right up to me. His first words, "Take off your Western clothes." I took off my jeans and said a prayer. Threw them in the river. They were gone forever. And I took off my shirt and gone forever. And then he had these two strips. He said, these will be your underpants. Throw your underpants in the Ganges. Now this was becoming serious surrender the first day. I took off my underpants. I remember they were fruit of the loom. And it was my only pair. They were gone. And then he said one more thing to me. The Ganges will become your mother. You will understand this because she will reveal it in time. And he turned around and walked away, and I never saw him again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Guru Srila Prabhupada wrote a beautiful prayer. In that prayer, he's praying to God. Just let me be a puppet. Make me dance to give happiness and joy to others. It is not by learning scriptures. It is not by making followers. It is not by doing whatever you're doing very expertly. It is not by your austerities. That is not a qualification to see God. It is only devotion.